I think many of us throughout our lives, be that fitness, be that work, be that relationships, will at some point feel the need or desire to quit. And everyone demonizes the idea of quitting like it means you're a failure, you're weak, but sometimes quitting is actually the best thing for you. A name that hasn't popped up for quite some time on the old channel, because it's a name I said I've tried not to cover so much, but sometimes there's actually something to talk about. Linda Sun, I'm 23, wish I was 23, and feel like a failure, breakdowns on my birthday, wanting to quit, and a recovery chat. Much of this is only actually relevant to me at one point in my life, but also probably relevant to you. And we're going to talk about things, I'm going to hit you a little bit of raw sauce, I'm going to give an opinion that you probably didn't ask for. But before I give you said opinion, all I'm going to ask is one thing from you. If at any point throughout this video you actually just enjoy the video, maybe even tolerate it, maybe even appreciate what I'm saying, then I would very much appreciate it if you did subscribe to the channel, because although it is an easy task, it does actually mean a lot to me. It tells YouTube that you tolerate me, and maybe YouTube, like an unhealthy relationship, will stop ignoring me, might even mention that they love me, and might even tell their friends about me. So I'd appreciate it if you did tickle the subscribe button, but again, no pressure if not, because I might not be worth it.
I know all you want right now is to fit in. You want to feel pretty and you want people to like you, but you don't need those hair extensions or to wake up before the crack of dawn to work out. No one is going to remember you for how little you weighed or the size of your butt. They'll remember you for how you made them feel.
So many of you watching this, actually I know some of you for a fact watching this, may have fallen victim to the trap, we'll say, of essentially altering yourself or changing your views, beliefs, behaviors, appearance, whatever it may be, to align with the desires or preferences of others, when quite frankly, if you feel like you have to do something to fit in, the people you're trying to fit in with might not be worth your time. Life is short, we know life is short, and inevitably it does end, unfortunately. And one of the things I always say to people, despite being easier said than done, it really is about trying to kind of go about from A to B, living your life in a way that is most conducive with your happiness. And in that, you should not have to alter yourself, your physical appearance, your behaviors to align with preferences of another, because quite frankly, they've got their life, you've got your life. They've got their body, you've got your body. People that fit in and click well in your life will do so based on how you are, as you want to be, not how you are as they want to be. And when you're younger, it is really, I think, easy to fall into the trap of assuming that if you do X, Y, Z, maybe someone will like you more. If you have to do so much to get their approval and their attention, maybe they are not the right piece to fit into your puzzle of life, you know? And take it from experience, somebody who's done that many times before in the past, especially when I was younger, it never ended well, and it usually resulted in an unhealthy relationship in some capacity. And all those people I did try and fit in with when I was younger are no longer here today. But the people I didn't try to fit in with, the ones that just naturally gravitated towards when we just clicked and we just got on well, despite being potentially very different people, still are here today. And that says something. One thing I want to know, it's really interesting how Linda's video essentially stems or kind of focuses on the topics of birthdays, which is actually quite relevant because recently I turned an age. You're not going to know how old. Probably not as old as you. Well, maybe it is older than you think. Who knows? I don't want to know the answer to that. And I started worrying about things like cognitive function and whatnot. And it got me pondering and worrying about brain health. I was pondering looking at some nootropics and companies along those lines, and was actually just going to acquire some myself until conveniently Magic Mind came to me, which is here. It's kind of an empty box because I've drunk all of them. Well, minus a couple, including this one. They reached out to me, said, Harry, John, do some stuff with us. I said, yes, please, because I was going to buy your product anyway. So if you send me some stuff and I promote you, then I get the stuff I was going to buy anyway, and I don't need to spend more money on it. So it's a bloody win if you ask me. And that's what I'm doing today. Introducing the sponsor of today's video, being Magic Mind. So Magic Mind are essentially a company which created this drinky thing that is essentially here to deliver or help deliver many things that can aid in the improvement of brain health, such as, like I mentioned earlier, nootropics and things along those lines, which also ties into the realm of micronutrients, as each bottle will include 100% of your vitamin D and vitamin C, so that's pretty bloody cool because I can't be bothered to keep forgetting to take my tablets. And the one thing that kind of drew me to them is I'm really funny about what I promote on the channel. A couple of things I've mentioned before is do not promote something I wouldn't use myself. Conveniently, I was going to buy them anyway, and they just sent me some, so that's a bloody win. And also, I wouldn't promote something that I didn't genuinely believe might have a benefit to at least somebody watching. In this case, that somebody is me, and technically I am watching the video, so I've stuck true to that. And the thing that kind of drew me towards them, which I like, is that they're safe, third-party tested, and backed by the old doctors. And I'm not a medical professional, but they are, so they must know something that I don't. And the one thing that's bloody convenient is I stick it in my fridge and I can drink it every day, because if it's a pill, I'll leave it in my cupboard and I'll forget, and at least this actually tastes quite nice, whereas pills usually taste and smell like fart, and I don't want to fart in my mouth. And obviously another bonus is obviously one of the big aspects of tfnl is the realm of mental health. Magic Mind will donate some of their pennies to mental health charities, which is pretty cool. And I always say, try something, and if you don't like it, there's a no risk, 100% guaranteed refund policy for 100 days after purchase. And if they back themselves that much, I always say to people, if you have that much trust in what you're producing and that much faith in it, put your money where your mouth is. If you're doing a 100-day refund policy, it sounds like the money is in the mouth. So if you fancy it, never have to, never any pressure, just saying if you fancy it, click the link in the description, code TFNL20, and you're going to get up to 48% off your subscription for the next 10 days, which is a really random number, but it's quite a big one at that. Or you're going to get 20% off a one-time purchase, which is also not a random number, but it's still a big one anyway. If any of those things tickle your pickle, Magic Mind link, TFNL20. Do you have to? No. Would I appreciate it if you did? Yes. Do I like it? That's why I'm drinking it. So thank you to Magic Mind for actually giving me some stuff I was going to buy anyway. And now we'll crack on back with the video.
I like to crawl into a little hole on my birthday. I don't make any special plans. I don't expect anyone to remember to send me a message or anything. And I try to stay off social media because I find that when I set my expectations to basically non-existent, the day always turns out better than expected. I don't like how it's the one day that has the power to make me feel the most loved or the loneliest. Because on, an average Tuesday, I know my worth doesn't come from other people's attention.
This is an interesting point because I know many people, I've had this conversation with many clients actually, fall into that kind of trap of on their birthday they feel like if they don't get text messages, whatever it may be, they aren't worth XYZ. Quite frankly, I'm going to be honest with you, different people view birthdays different ways. For example, my view of birthdays is it's just another day. If I don't send you a birthday message, it's not because I don't care it's your birthday, it's because quite frankly, I didn't even know, or I forgot, because I even forget my own birthday half the time. My birthday looks like any other day because I just don't really see it as much of a thing. And actually that in turn helps me when, if I don't get messages from people, if I don't do anything special, normalizing the fact that it's just another day and it's not that important to me personally helps me realize that a day shouldn't have that much power over you. But I know some people really struggle with that because, again, that day does have a lot of power over them, when in reality a birthday is arguably about a celebration of your life, another year on the planet, and it really is your celebration. Perhaps it should be more about a celebration for you, doing things you want to do on your day to appreciate that day being yours. You can share that with friends or you can do it on your own. It really is a day that you can choose what you want to do with. And for me, that day is probably just going to the gym and cracking on with work as I normally do. But for you, it may be something special. But it's also about understanding that just because people don't message you on those days does not mean that they don't care. We're all adults, we're all very busy, and we're all cracking on with our own things here and there. Some of my closest friends I actually speak to maybe once a month, but if they ever needed me, I would be there. We could go weeks, months, miss birthdays, whatever it may be, but if they needed me, I'd be there in a heartbeat. And I know they would be too. And to me, that is more valuable than a message they might send to me on a day of the year. But again, that's just how I see things and how I view things and what helped me. I just don't like the fact that with birthdays, I feel like I'm getting older. Link down below, you've got a few things. You've got the link to work with myself on a one-to-one coaching basis where I can help you achieve your goals, whatever they may be online, wherever you may be in the world. You've got the link to the TFNL workout guides, which quite frankly, check out for yourself. They're bloody fantastic. And you've got the link to the TFNL group coaching, which for less than $1 a day will give you a bloody good program for either at home or at the gym. And as always, they're all linked down below in the description if you fancy it.
Everyone is working or trying to find a job, and everyone is making content. They have ideas. I feel like I have no ideas. What?
Do you have a break?
I've been on a break.
I'm late.
I'm not late. I'm not doing anything.
I think it's actually quite an interesting, quite a valid point here, is that it's very easy for us to compare ourselves to what other people are doing, especially those around us, when in reality, firstly, you don't know the full story, and secondly, you can't compare two people's lives. And it's very easy to assume that you don't have any ideas, you're the one not doing enough, everything's great for them, but you only see what they want you to see. As someone who knows, sometimes when you think everything is all great and gravy for somebody, they might be facing very similar problems and very similar thoughts that you might be facing, but they're just portraying themselves a certain way, or maybe on social media portraying the highlight reel of their life rather than the realities of their life. And also it's key to remember is that there is no progressive timeline of life, is that there are certain things in life that I think people may deem to be important, maybe moving out, get your first house, get your first job, all these things, but when that happens, is completely up to you. There is no definitive point of that should happen at this age, this age, this age. It happens when you're ready. Many life circumstances come into play there, financially, mental health, whatever it may be, which will ultimately alter, maybe even sometimes dictate when certain things may happen in your life. Doing things later than your friends does not mean you're a failure. It simply means that you are just moving at a slightly different pace, or maybe even a slightly different direction, or potentially even doing things in a slightly different order to others around you. And you're essentially comparing two journeys, two lives, two career paths that aren't comparable. And ultimately, in that comparison, all you're going to do is make yourself feel worse about yourself, which then in turn achieves no positive outcome. Are you doing the best that you can do in this moment? And to answer, the best you can do in this moment might simply be just getting out of bed in the morning due to something that you might be struggling with, due to a personal battle that might be occurring. But all I ask is, are you doing the best you can do right now? If the answer is yes, fantastic. What more can you do than the best? If the answer is no, that's okay. You don't have to do the best all the time, but at least you know that you have more to give when you're ready to give it. There's never any pressure, and there should never be any guilt surrounding not doing enough, because who says what is enough and who says what you're doing isn't already that? Life is hard enough at the best of times. Do the best you can, go at your own pace, and understand that in the end, things will probably be okay. You have to make them okay, which takes some time. Progress won't be linear, but you'll probably get there eventually. And if you don't get there eventually, the journey's still going, you've still got time.
I'd felt sad before, but never paralyzed by it. I'd needed to take breaks, but I'd never wanted to quit so badly. I joked about dropping out, as we all do, but I'd never meant it literally until I did. I'd felt lost before, but not in this way. Nothing that made me happy anymore.
I think many of us throughout our lives, be that fitness, be that work, be that relationships, will at some point feel the need or desire to quit. And everyone demonizes the idea of quitting like it means you're a failure, you're weak, but sometimes quitting is actually the best thing for you. I've done jobs before which I utterly despise that genuinely sent me into the realm of depression. Before I went to uni, I was pursuing something that quite frankly I didn't want to pursue, but I thought it was good for me and people around me thought it was good for me too. And I was miserable. I hated every aspect. I woke up every day crying. I drove home every day crying. I went to sleep every day crying. And then when I thought of the idea of quitting, I was so scared of being deemed to be a failure or weak, I put it off. But then I realized, who cares? The people who think I'm a failure and weak are probably not people I need to concern myself with if they're going to make such an opinion of me not knowing how I feel. So what I did is I said, well, this is going to make me this happy and take me this far. But if I actually quit and go pursue something else, maybe I'll be this happy and my progression will be this far. So I did. I quit, and literally I quit on the Friday. I went to an interview at uni on the Monday when the uni had already started, and I joined the course 2 weeks late on the Tuesday, and I said, let's just take the chance. I ended up doing 2 degrees, getting my bachelor's and my master's, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Despite being in a really bad place mentally, I went through a lot of big declines there, which I've openly spoke about, the addiction, the overdoses and whatnot. Uni itself was a huge decision for me, and also a huge privilege. Although the degree itself may not have been the best thing, may not have given me all these opportunities, it gave me a bit of time, gave me a bit of direction, gave me a bit of clarity, and it actually ultimately helped me come towards TFNL, which quite frankly is an opportunity I never thought I'd get, an opportunity I could have only dreamt of, and an opportunity I'll be forever thankful for. But the fact of the matter is this: if I didn't quit, I wouldn't be here. So sometimes quitting is okay, but you don't want to make a habit of it. Don't quit as soon as things get hard if you know what you're doing is right for you. Fitness, whatever it may be, will be hard at times, and you will want to quit. But if you know the end result and the goal you're chasing is worth it for you, power through, but provided it doesn't negatively impact you, your mental health, or your happiness. Sometimes it's okay to take a temporary hit when you know the outcome at the end will be worth it, but you have to ask yourself, is the destination you're working for worth the journey? If the answer is yes, crack on, you're on the right path. If the answer is no, maybe it's worth considering something else. But quitting isn't always bad, and sometimes quitting can lead to further progression. But one thing I also want to add to that is sometimes quitting isn't for the best. As many of you may know, I'm pretty sure it's featured in one of the videos and pinned on my channel, is that I have battled with drug addiction and other things in my past. And I've had a few instances where things have got a bit ropey, a bit hairy, where I have obviously overdosed, unfortunately. I have been a bit silly with things. I think in that, obviously part of getting better is going to recovery. I've been in therapy for a long time. I've seen rehab counsellors and worked with rehab specialists. During that timeline, again, like with many things, I identify that progress isn't linear. But when you are trying to heal from something or recover from something such as drug addiction, then that can often result in a lot of contemplation of or consideration of relapsing, which I've been open about many times. I have failed, I have quit, I have relapsed on many occasions. In that, a part of relapse is essentially quitting. The journey to get better looks like this, and in relapsing, despite it not being as easy as people might think not to, you essentially quit that journey to resort to something that gives you temporary enjoyment, temporary pleasure, temporary fulfillment, knowing that it's not conducive to what you're trying to achieve, which is sobriety. Again, it's not painting the picture of quitting is always good, because sometimes it's not. Quitting, in that instance, that essentially leads to relapse, doesn't help me get better. It doesn't help me overcome that hurdle. It doesn't help me stop it. It doesn't help me heal. It doesn't help me better myself. So it's one of those things where you have to identify, like I mentioned, is what you're trying to achieve worth the journey, worth the process? Yes or no? If the answer is no, maybe it's worth considering something else. If the answer is yes, for me in that situation was sobriety, then is relapsing worth giving that up? No. Did I do it anyway? Yes, but I know I shouldn't have, and it didn't help me. If anything, it slowed the process, but I'm not a perfect person. I make mistakes, and progress isn't linear, but the fact is, we're still making progress and we're still working towards that direction. Like I mentioned earlier about people progress at different stages or rates in life, someone else's journey might look like that. Mine just looks a bit like this sometimes. But hopefully it's going to look a bit more like that now. But again, just like all my videos, this is simply my opinion, and I'd love to hear your opinion in the comment section below. Thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for tolerating the fact that this is once again another sponsored video. So again, shout out to Magic Mind for granting me the opportunity to feature them in this video, and also sending me some stuff I was going to buy anyway, so thank you for saving me some money there, and also thank you for tolerating the video.